Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So I'm going to show you all this movie trailer and then I'm going to provide my commentary. But before I do so, I want to remind people that I am having an art show and sale on June 8th here in Baltimore, Maryland. It will be at the Montego Bar and Grill located at 1818 North Charles Street. I encourage you all to attend. My art will be for sale. I hope that you all support my art show. Many people talk about supporting Black businesses. It's time for people to make their word their bond. So if you are in Baltimore, Maryland, please come out. If you're in the DMV or you're within driving distance, I encourage you to come out and check out my art show and chop it up with me. You know, we can meet in person and get a chance to talk about whatever issues are important to you. So I hope to see you there. There will be refreshments, there will be music, there will be great people there and great company. It should be a great event. So I hope that you all come out for that and support my art show. Also, I wanted to let you all know if you are in Baltimore, Maryland, I will also be having a meeting to discuss the book Kindred by Octavia Butler. So I hope that you all can check that out. When I get a chance, I'll post a link to that event as well on Facebook. I'll put the Facebook link in the chat room so that you all can indicate whether or not you can attend that. For the people that are not in the Baltimore area, I will have a discussion here on YouTube about the book Kindred by Octavia Butler. It will be on the following day. So I hope that you all can check those two events out. So I appreciate that. So let's get right into it. I heard a lot of YouTubers talking about this movie, Loqueesha. And it's basically about this white guy who pretends to be a Black woman. And he has this radio program and it becomes a big hit and is very successful. So before I get into my commentary, I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen and play the video so that you can see it for yourself and judge it for yourself. This is an important subject. I know that I haven't been on here as often this month. And that reminds me, before I go any further, I want to send the greetings to my Muslim brothers and sisters. Ramadan Mubarak. I hope that you all have a blessed Ramadan. And assalamu alaikum to the Muslim brothers and sisters. Peace be upon you all. But yeah, so my focus has been on, you know, fasting and other things this month. So I haven't been able to post as frequently as I would like. But I have to post about this. This is a very important subject. It's about stereotyping of Black women and Black people, period. So let me get right into it. Let me share my screen with you all so that you can see this video for yourself. Just bear with me 1 second. Before I do that, let me just see. Okay. And I know it's very early in the morning and most people are not on YouTube at this time in the morning. So hopefully people will catch it on the playback. All right. So let me share my screen. And YouTube should not have any problem with this. This was within the Fair Use Act. People have every right to post material if they're providing commentary. So let's share this.
You always seem to say the right thing to just the right person. What's your secret? I'm really just talking to myself. I don't charge for my advice.
Well, you should, because it's amazing. I saw this and I thought of you. You will be a hit in no time.
Welcome to the Joe Show. I submitted myself to a radio station for my own show. Well, congratulations. They rejected me. Well, congratulations, then.
You weren't right for your own show? They skipped it. To get the money for this school.
13,000 a semester? That's me, Joe. I was a black woman. And they Loqueesha, brilliant. I know. The radio being the biggest thing in radio, but I still need my anonymity. It's not a crime. It's theater. You live with Loqueesha. What's your problem?
Hi, Loqueesha. It's free.
No, I ain't talking to you, not the way you sound. Let's go.
You go, girl.
And you just be good to her. If you're good to yourself, you can be good to others. And don't be too good because the police will come around.
How did you get this?
I got another job.
Doing what?
Consulting one. What the hell would you know about being a white guy anyway? I know quite a bit. Loqueesha is a real role model for every African-American woman on this planet. Like the whole city has a Loqueesha mania. I am Loqueesha, officer.
What was that?
I think I might be a black woman trapped in a white man's body.
You need to talk to Loqueesha. Just because she's a woman and a black person doesn't mean that she doesn't understand.
Is this really something?
I'm on a bridge above the river. I'm gonna jump.
Thanks for calling. Enjoy your jump. I gotta start listening to her.
Okay, so you all saw that trailer, and I just want to provide my brief commentary on this situation. Shout out to Bonafide 1970. Shout out to LA. I see you in the chat room. Yeah, so that's the trailer. Basically, you had a situation where this white guy is trying to become a radio host. He applies and he's rejected, and he decides to reapply as a black woman, pretending to be a black woman, you know, using stereotypical type of voice of a black woman, acting in a stereotypical fashion, you know, a stereotypical image of a black woman. He's projecting that image, and he gets this job as a radio host. So he's this white guy pretending to be this black woman, and, you know, just perpetuating all these negative stereotypes about black women. So that's the thing in a nutshell. And then in terms of the advertising that they use and the images, you know, they basically had this image of this white guy inside of the body of a black woman. You know, they have a black woman basically divided in half, and he's like in the middle of the image. So I just want to, you know, provide brief commentary on this. You know, the first thing I want to address is this suggestion that black women have greater opportunity than white men in this society. You know, that's one of the messages that I got from this particular trailer, because, you know, in the advertisement for the position, it talks about how minorities and women are encouraged to apply. And you have this situation where this guy, you know, gets all this praise from his friends about how he provides great advice and that he should be a radio host. And then he applies for this position, but he's rejected. And the suggestion is that he's rejected because he's a white man. So this projects this narrative that somehow white men are being marginalized in a more diversified America. So that's one of the messages that's being conveyed here. And we know that white men are not victims in this society. White men are the victimizers in this society. You know, white men are at the top of the food chain in this society, you know, at the top of the hierarchy in this white dominated society. But yet they have a film like this that kind of suggests that this white man is some kind of victim. When you look at who owns and controls the businesses in this American society, you see that for the most part, most of the Fortune 500 companies are owned by white men. When you look at the wealth disparities in this country, you see that white men have greater wealth than black men and black people, period. When you look at politics, even though you have more black elected officials than ever before, you see that when you look at the political system, it's white men that are in the dominant position. Whether we're talking about the Senate or we're talking about Congress, and even on the local level. We see that as white men, like, you know, they have political power, but yet and still you have this white man projecting himself as some kind of victim. And basically this is an attack on affirmative action. You know, the suggestion is somehow because all these women and so-called minorities are given certain opportunities, that somehow that's subjecting white men to some kind of oppressive type of situation where they're being denied opportunities. So that's one of the low-key messages that they were projecting in this film. And then another thing, you know, in terms of this trailer, you know, the obvious thing is, you know, that this is a modern day minstrel show. And we know about the minstrels, and I'm going to show some images right here so that you all can see these images. Just bear with me 1 second. This program, this particular movie, is nothing but a modern day minstrel show. So I'm sure that most of you are very familiar with minstrel shows. You know, there was a time when you had white men paint their faces black, you know, exaggerate their features, change the way they talk to make themselves appear to be African American, promoting all these negative stereotypes about African Americans, speaking in an exaggerated and buffoonish kind of manner, you know, making African Americans literally look like clowns and buffoons and idiots. That's what they used to do. You have all these examples of white men in blackface, making mockery of black people, making black people appear to be stupid, making black people appear to be lazy, making black people appear to be trifling, making black people appear to be all about singing and dancing, projecting these images of the happy slave, and even projecting the image of the black man as some sex-crazed animal who lusts after white women. These are the kinds of images that they projected of black people, period. And then you also had negative images of black women as well. Images of the black woman as loud, as domineering when it comes to the black man. But when it comes to the white man, they depicted the black woman as docile, as obedient, as eager to please. But when it came to the black man, they depicted the black woman as a loudmouth, dominating figure that basically ran the household and stuff. So this is a long tradition that we see in America. And then when you look at modern day television, you see these images as well. And I'm just going to Google something real quick. All you have to do is look at a show like Housewives of Atlanta. Let me just Google that real quick. And fighting, you know, all these kind of shows, these reality shows, they depict black women as loudmouth, as ignorant, as eager to fight, and, you know, domineering, you know, the same negative stereotypes. And sadly, a lot of black women are eager to play the role of the stereotypical black woman. You know, where they have the black woman talking, speaking all ignorantly, you know, speaking, you know, improper English and all that kind of stuff, just making a complete fool out of herself. These are the kinds of images that we see. And this particular trailer promotes more of that. You know, the way this guy is speaking with a ridiculous accent. It's no different from those old minstrel shows that were played back in the day. Here you have a white man pretending to be a black woman. And, you know, this whole situation is just outrageous that you had this white man, you know, perpetuating these negative stereotypes, putting on a modern day minstrel show in 2019. And these people actually, you know, time and time again, we see examples of this kind of blatant racism. And they expect us to believe that this is some kind of accidental coincidence and stuff. You know, and it's like a resurgence of this blackface image that we are seeing nowadays. Like we saw it with you know, these different companies. Like for instance, the first one that I noticed was that H&M ad where they had, you know, this black kid wearing this shirt saying the coolest monkey in the jungle, knowing that there are all these negative stereotypes connecting black people with apes and monkeys and all that kind of stuff, suggesting that we are subhuman. Knowing about all that history, they decided to go ahead and put out a shirt suggesting that a black boy is a monkey. And then you had, you know, Prada, you know, one of these high-end companies, actually using accessories depicting people in blackface. And then you had Gucci put out a sweater that's basically a blackface sweater. And you have, it's like a resurgence in this modern day minstrel show. And if we don't stand up to this stuff, we will see, you know, it become the norm again, where you see all these images of blackface. And we see this like in other countries as well, like in China. You know, they had a celebration where they were celebrating their New Year by putting on a modern day minstrel show. So this is outrageous. And I think that we need to do something about it. And, you know, when I conclude my commentary, I'll talk about some of the things that we need to do about it. But this is crazy. And the thing is, you know, while we condemn this particular trailer, we need to also condemn other forms of minstrel shows, you know, other types of stereotypes that are being put out here. We need to condemn shows like The Real Housewives of Atlanta and Love and Hip Hop and Black Ink and, you know, all these movies that depict black people in a negative light, like Girls Trip and, you know, Precious and all that kind of stuff, promoting all these negative stereotypes about black people. You have all these particular shows, for instance, that depict black women as argumentative, as quick to fight, you know, as loud-mouthed and ignorant and stuff. These are the images that they put out here. And, you know, unfortunately, we are the ones that support this. Unfortunately, you have black people that defend this buffoonery. You have black people, from what I understand, actually on YouTube trying to defend this trailer. And to me, that's insane. To me, that's ridiculous. Another thing that has to be talked about is the fact that we have so many black people that co-sign these negative images. You know, I mentioned how people support those different programs, but they have literally used black people in this particular movie to co-sign the oppression of black people, to co-sign the negative stereotyping of black women. If you look at that trailer again, you will see that there are many black people featured in that trailer. And those black people are basically serving the role of buffer Negroes. See, as long as they have black people involved in that project, they can point to those black people and say, this is not racist because we have all these black people involved, all these black people supporting this, all these black people co-signing this. So this can't possibly be racist. That's how they use these Negroes. Like you have a black man in there basically trying to ease this white guy's conscience by telling him that this is not a crime. It's theater, basically giving him a green light to perpetuate these negative stereotypes of black women. And then you have another black woman, you know, and even before I get to this other black woman, it's a black woman that gives this guy this opportunity that basically shows him the job announcement, for this position as a radio host. So that's another way that a black person is co-signing it. Then you have, you know, a black woman saying, you go girl, like as she is listening to this buffoon, you know, present this negative image of a black woman, speaking, you know, in an ignorant kind of fashion, a buffoonish fashion, no different from those minstrel shows. in those minstrel shows, they would have black people talking jive and talking ignorant and sounding like fools and stuff like that. And this is just a modern day example of that. So you got somebody, you know, a black woman saying, "You go, girl," when you know, this guy is portraying this role. And then you also have other examples of people co-signing in a thing. You had this one black woman literally say that you know, that this fake black woman is a role model for all African American um, women on this planet. So you got a black woman basically saying that this stereotypical image of a black woman is a good role model for black women. So you have all these black people co-signing this stuff within this trailer. And my question is, what is wrong with these black people? Why would you agree to play that kind of role? Hold on one second, y'all. Yeah, if you try to spam my you know, chat room, it's going to automatically be hidden, and you know, I'm going to go ahead and hide it as well. You know, don't post other people's links to videos that have nothing to do with the subject matter. But anyway, yeah, so you got all these black people basically co-signing this stuff and within this trailer. And my question is, why would any black person in their right mind be in any way affiliated with such a racist project? At some point, your integrity has to be more important than earning a few coins. You know, people that do this in many ways, they are like Judas, selling out their people for a few coins and tokens and for some attention, for some publicity and stuff. These people should be ashamed of themselves for participating in this project, for co-signing this project. Now, another thing that I want to talk about is the reaction of a lot of these white people in the comment section to this video. I'm going to show you the comment section to that trailer. So if you bear with me a second, I'm going to share my screen again, so you can see like all these comments that these white people are making, you know, these racist white people. And I'm not saying all white people, but these racist white people who co-sign this stuff. So you have, you know, black people in this comment section calling it out. And then you have a lot of these white people basically saying, well, if you didn't have a problem with white chicks, you know, that film that the Wayans brothers did, you shouldn't have a problem with this. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'm going to go into that in a minute. So you got this person saying, I'm going to watch this movie opening night, a new cult classic. I'm going to watch this 100 times. And then they had this emoji here with the heart eyes, like, you know, they're in love with this film. And this person right here says, looks like it's going to compete with Norbit for my favorite film. This says the most anticipated movie. And you have black people in the comment section speaking out against this nonsense. You got people laughing about this. I gotta see this. You know, these people are just all excited about this buffoon show, this minstrel show. Best movie ever. This person says, looks good. My kids are already excited to see this. And then this person says he ain't far off, basically suggesting that he sounds just like a black woman. He's acting just like a black woman. His stereotypical portrayal of a black woman is relatively accurate. You know, that's what this person is suggesting right here. You got this person saying they love it. Now, this person pointed out that this is taking blackface to a whole new level. And you have somebody that says Amos and Andy 2020. And yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just crazy, man. So that's a sense of some of the comments that people left there. And it's just a shame that in this day and age, you got so many of these people that support a modern day minstrel show, man. And it really shouldn't be surprising, you know, especially given the fact that every year around Halloween time, even after the era of a black president, you have all these white people, these young millennials that are supposed to be so understanding, so tolerant, so advanced and everything. Many of them wear blackface during Halloween, you know, rekindling that minstrel image of black people. Now, the thing that I want to talk about next is, you know, this false equivalency that people are making, you know, basically saying, well, if you watch white chicks, you can't complain about this Loqueesha film, you know, because they're basically one and the same. You know, you have one group of people pretending to be the race of another group of people. So it's somehow equal, you know, it's somehow equivalent, and they're basically the same thing. That's what a lot of these people in the comment section were basically suggesting. And as far as I'm concerned, that's pure nonsense, you know, because, you know, first of all, we have to look at these things in their historical context. You have to look at the power dynamics. You have to look at the impact of those images. You know, first of all, black, you know, one portrayal or a couple of portrayals of some black people pretending to be white is no comparison to decades upon decades of negative images of African Americans being presented by white people, by the white dominant society. You know, portraying black people as stupid, portraying black people as ugly, portraying black people as subhuman, portraying black men as cowards, portraying black women as domineering and loudmouth when it comes to black men, and then portraying black women as submissive and obedient and happy slaves when it comes to white men. All of those images were designed to perpetuate a status quo of white supremacy, a status quo where you had a situation of separate but unequal, you know, a status quo of slavery as well, you know, basically presented this idea that slaves were happy. They were happy to be slaves. You know, they enjoyed slavery. They were docile and ignorant and stuff. So they presented those types of images to defend slavery, to call for slavery to be reinstated and stuff like that. Promoted all this stuff to perpetuate a system of segregation, humiliation, Jim Crow. That's what minstrel shows were all about. You know, when you look at Birth of a Nation, that whole film was designed to invoke fear of black men and black people gaining civil and human rights. They literally used minstrels in that movie to terrify white people. And that imagery was not just some film that was just played and that was the end of it. It perpetuated a social policy, a political policy of segregation. You know, it perpetuated and encouraged terrorism against black communities. In that film, the KKK were depicted as heroes, as saviors. That's what they did to save the white woman from this black brute who was desperate and lusting after the white woman. And a lot of black people were lynched and stuff, you know, because of these types of images. You know, black people were denied all kinds of opportunities because of these kinds of images that were put out here. Black people were taught to hate themselves and to idolize whiteness because of all these images that were put out here. Taught that their black skin was ugly, that their African hair was nappy, taught that there was something wrong with their wide noses and full lips, taught to literally hate themselves. And even to this day, you have Negroes running around here talking about, somebody's crispy and stuff, talking about, somebody being, making all these derogatory comments about dark-skinned people and dark-skinned women in particular, because of this legacy of the minstrel show, because of all this negative programming that's been put out here. You had those negative stereotypes continuing to this day, man. Black people still referring to people that have hair that's similar to European hair as good hair. And people with hair that resembles our traditional African hair, traditional West African hair, they call that nappy hair. All of this is because of this programming projected through, these minstrel shows and all that other stuff. That can't be compared to a couple of goofy Black comedians doing one movie. Now, do I support, White Chicks or anything? That movie, White Chicks? Of course not. I think it's trash. I didn't even watch that movie. I don't think that anybody should be making mockery of any other group of people's race or whatever. I think that, there should be no mockery of any race, nobody dressing up and pretending to be another race and then making mockery of that race. I condemn that universally, but let's not try to pretend that a couple of films that a couple of Negroes did is in any way comparable to the whole legacy of minstrel shows in this country. We can't pretend that to be the case, given that long history and given the psychological impact that propaganda had on Black people, teaching Black people to hate themselves. And, when you look at the impact that it had on a white society, reinforcing a system of segregation, reinforcing discrimination against Black people. Because when you see those types of negative images of Black people as stupid, Black men as cowards and all that kind of stuff, why would anybody want to hire somebody when they have these images that Black people are stupid and lazy and trifling and all that kind of stuff? So it had a very real impact on our lives. Why would anybody want to give somebody a mortgage for property when these types of images are put out here that Black people are stupid and lazy and, all that kind of stuff? So there's a night and day situation. This White Chicks film can't be compared to, this Loqueesha thing. When you look at the larger picture, when you look at the power dynamics and the historical context, and, when you look at the impact that those negative images had on Black people, some white chick film is not having any real negative impact on white people as a whole, because there's no power behind it. It's just a bunch of, a couple of goofy comedians. But as I said before, I don't condone it. I don't support it, but let's not pretend like they're one and the same. So the last point that I want to make is this, and, I'll get to your comments in a second. And that's this, man. I think that what we need to do is act. We have to go beyond just talking about things here on YouTube. We need to call for a boycott against this film. We need to call for a boycott against the various films, the studios that are involved in this, the various companies that are involved in this. This should never be tolerated. There is no reason why we should have a modern day minstrel show in 2019. This is absolutely outrageous, man. And it's up to us to do something about it. We need to voice our opposition to this nonsense, but we need to also go beyond that and voice our opposition by using our dollars as political weapons against our enemies. And make no mistake about it, anybody that puts out a negative film like this, promoting these negative images of the Black woman, they are in fact our enemy. And they should be boycotted. They should be put out of business. A lot of times you have these Black women on here that want to portray the white man as some kind of knight in shining armor here to rescue the Black woman. They want to portray him as some kind of hero that appreciates and loves the black woman. Does this look like love and appreciation? Does this look like somebody that's here to save a black woman or black people? Of course not. This is somebody making a mockery of the black woman. And you see this time and time again. But none of these people, these swirlers or whatever, will have anything to say about this. In fact, some of them will probably defend this foolishness. So, you know, we have to also be consistent, man. Like when we condemn this kind of minstrel show, we need to also condemn these other types of minstrel shows, whether it's talk shows on TV depicting black women as, you know, as trash, as, you know, very loose women, as loudmouth, as argumentative, as, you know, prone to fight. We need to condemn those kind of images seen on reality TV and all these talk shows. So those are my thoughts. I'm going to get to the comments right now. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I know it's very early in the morning, so I truly appreciate y'all tuning in. Hopefully people will tune in later on. Again, I want to remind people, you know, I have the art show on June 8th. I hope you all can turn out, come out and stuff. Again, that's in Baltimore, Maryland. If you're in the area, 1818 North Charles Street, June 8th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, I have a link in the chat room. So if you're interested, you know, feel free to click that link and indicate whether you're going or not. You know, I would appreciate it. Again, shout out to Bonafide 1970. Shout out to LA. And I didn't get a chance to see your video. I know that you did a video on this as well. I'm going to, you know, stop by your channel and check it out. Yeah, so Bonafide 1970 said this appears to be specifically targeted for white men who have issues with affirmative action. Exactly. And that's one of the points I raised earlier. You know, because it's suggesting that the white man doesn't have any opportunities, that everything's given away to minorities, so-called minorities and women. Yeah, so Bonafide said it's absolutely ridiculous. I never heard of this movie, but I hope it flops, and I hope that not a single black person supports it. Exactly. Yeah, so Bonafide, yeah, this is another great point. They made sure to put a black man in a radio station with the white man as a way of excusing themselves. Similar to what they did to that black woman during the Michael Cohen hearings. Exactly. You know, during the Michael Cohen hearings, they literally used this black woman as a prop, as a political prop to prove that Donald Trump was not a racist. And I did a video on that on my I Declare War channel. I encourage you all to check it out. You know, it's just outrageous, man. And it's just the thing that's even worse than these white people, white racists deciding to do this stuff is the fact that you have Negroes that are willing to go along with it, willing to help these people, obey these, you know, help and abet these people and stuff. You know, these people are, for all I can, you know, for all I'm concerned, you know, these people are co-conspirators with our oppressors, man, when they participate in projects like this. They are participating in their own degradation, and they're too stupid to realize it, or they just don't care. And these people are a disgrace to the race, man. And they need to be called out every time. So Bonafide said, I've never seen this particular actor before. It could be any, it could be that any sort of A-list or B-list actor knew damn well to steer clear of this career-killing role. Exactly, man. I mean, most people that have sense would not even be affiliated with this project, man. Like all the people that I saw in that particular trailer are people that I don't recognize. Like I didn't recognize a single one of those people. And they are foolish for participating in this project because more likely than not, after this, nobody's going to want to touch these people. So WTM said the negative stereotypes of Black women have been perpetuated and uplifted by Black men forever. Black comedians made their money ridiculing Black women for decades. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's sad and true, man. You know, you do have a lot of Black men perpetuating these negative stereotypes. All you have to do is look at a Tommy Sotomayor. I didn't get a chance to watch Lasheed for You's video, but she, in her titles and the imagery, it's clear that he's actually defending this stuff, man, from what I understand. Defending this minstrel show. And it's not surprising because he's a man that uses his platform to bash Black women, to attack Black women, and to promote all these negative stereotypes about Black women. So, yeah, I mean, you have many channels here on YouTube that are dedicated to ridiculing Black women. Many of them. And, you know, as I said before, we have to be consistent. Like if we're going to speak out against this Loqueesha trailer, we need to also speak out against these men that promote these negative stereotypes about Black women. Now, it's one thing for people to talk about real relationship type of issues. It's quite another thing to demonize and attack Black women and promote all these negative stereotypes about the majority of Black women. That kind of stuff needs to be called out every time. And Bonafide 1970 said, this sounds like the sort of trash that the likes of Tiffany Haddish would promote. I wouldn't be surprised if she had something to do with this, with the writing or the producing of this mess. Yeah, man, that's a valid point because, like, from what I understand, she was at that MetLife gala passing out fried chicken and stuff, but behaving like a real coon, man. So I wouldn't be surprised if she was affiliated with this stuff in some kind of way, you know, but I don't have any proof of that. Like, I don't know if she has anything to do with it, but yeah, I think that's a valid point. So somebody said that this will flop just like the film Gods of Egypt. I hope it does flop. Bonafide 1970 said, I personally believe that any Black person who played a role in this movie should be openly shamed, and any other movies they're involved in should be boycotted. Yeah, you know I agree with that, man, based on my comments, man. Yeah, they are like Judases, man. Selling out for a few coins and stuff. Selling out for like some access to a film or, you know, for opportunity to be close to Pharaoh, man. These people are sellouts and they should be called out for it. Because as long as people aren't called out for this stuff, they continue to do it. They, you know, they feel free. They feel like they have every right to help the enemy degrade Black people, to, you know, promote stereotypes of about Black people, man. All civilized nations have a way to deal with traitors, and the thing that we can do is call these people out and ostracize them and, you know, boycott them. We need to boycott this company for perpetuating these negative images of Black people. Like, boycott the studio involved, boycott these actors involved, boycott any business affiliated with this nonsense. And thankfully, I haven't seen this on television. You know, it's just online that I've heard about this, man. But this stuff needs to be roundly condemned. Shout out to Gab Talk Media. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so I don't want to keep y'all too long. Hopefully people will get a chance to watch the playback. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Again, you know, support my art show if you're in the area. Support the discussion about the book Kindred by Octavia Butler. I will have an online discussion on June 23rd. I'll have an inline, excuse me, in-person meeting on June 22nd. So I hope that you all can join that discussion, attend the art show. So with that, I'm going to say peace and blessings to each and every one of you. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, share the video, hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content on here, and financially support this channel as well. I have a PayPal link on my main page. You go to my channel, you could hit that PayPal and, support the channel, show your support. I see a lot of these brothers who, for instance, promote these negative images of Black women and stuff like that, all this misogynistic nonsense. They get a lot of financial support. So support your man. Support positive programming and stuff like that, because YouTube is really shutting down, AdSense. Any video that I post, I could do a video about the cure for cancer, and they'll have, say that it is inappropriate for advertising and stuff. So every type of support you can show is truly appreciated. Watching is appreciated, liking the videos, commenting on the videos, and also, financially supporting the channel. So with that, I hope that you all have a great day. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Thanks for watching.